Because we're going to be touching an angle in marriage, just an angle. You know, marriage is broad and wide, but I want you to know that Women's Corner is all about women. We'll support women, we empower women, and at the same time trying to give them the best of informations and educations they need. Yes, we'll also promote women who are into business, entrepreneurs. You know, you're the big deal. It's not easy being a woman and making a mark in the sense of time during your time and even afterwards. Okay, I want you to know that Galaxy is streaming live on Facebook and Twitter at Galaxy TV Web for Facebook, and of course at Galaxy TV Entertainment on Twitter. So you can just join us live right there. And we also have a TikTok account. We have Women's_Corner25. So you can actually follow, like, and of course reach us via that platform if you want to be part of the show. Also, we have an app on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store. Just type in Galaxy Television and of course you get to watch us live. It's good to be here again. Like I said, today we'll be talking about marriage myth. You know, a lot of things are being told while growing up about marriage. A lot of theories that we're being told about marriage, and yet sometimes because we have that in us pretty seated but when you face marriage, you find out that the reality hits you like something else and you do not know what to do. You get stranded, and you find out a lot of people are going into divorce this time because of some of the myth or unfactual expectations or a reality they never knew they will come across, they get to experience in marriage, especially women, especially our Gen Zs and even the millennial too. You know, we have it all in all of us because we just want the baby girl lifestyle for life. Anyways, before I'll be introducing my guest for today, let's quickly go on a relationship tip, more like a life tip that would help you. And this is for a lot of women who are in the space of an office, who have their businesses, who are in, planning to go into marriage or about to, get off the ship of being single and, be in the relationship ship before going into marriage. Anyways, this is for you, and this one is how you can create healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. There are boundaries that could sound disrespectful to people, especially knowing that it is your boundary. Sometimes you get the wrong message about you, but I'm not going to say much because this one is just tips on how you can actually create boundaries, but not just any kind of boundaries, but a healthy one. So let's quickly go for that tip, and we'll be back to the studio. I will introduce my guests, then we'll start talking about marriage myth. We'll be right back.
Get really clear with yourself about what the boundary is that you want to set. For instance, do you need your mother to stop calling altogether, or she can call you under certain circumstances? If you aren't clear, you won't be able to communicate your expectations. A wishy-washy boundary is not effective. Spend time figuring out what you need before taking action. Understand why you need a boundary. This is your motivation for setting the boundary. If you don't have a compelling reason, why are you going to allow? Why are you going to follow through with setting a boundary that's out of your comfort zone? Be straightforward. Don't be cryptic or purposefully vague, thinking you're going to spare someone's feeling or avoid a conflict. The kindest and most successful approach is to be direct. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't apologize or give long explanations. This kind of behavior undermines the authority and gives the impression that you're doing something wrong that requires an apology or justification. Use a calm and polite tone. Keep your own anger in check. Don't try to set boundaries in the middle of an argument. You want your message to be heard. Shouting, sarcasm, or condescending tone or put others on the defensive and distract from the real issues. Start with tighter boundaries. It's always easier to loosen up tight boundaries than it is to tighten loose boundaries. People-pleasing results in loose or weak boundaries that are hard to tighten up later. For instance, you set a clear expectation with your ex that you don't want her coming into your own when she returns to children. From this firm boundary, it's easier to later invite her in if you feel it's appropriate. It's much harder to later tell her she can't come in when initially you're giving her free access to your home. Address boundary violations early. Some problems are always easier to manage. Don't wait until someone's violated a boundary a dozen times before you speak up. It's not fair to assume that others know your boundary until you've explained them. Nor is it fair to change the rules and, for instance, abruptly tell your cousin that you're not going to help pay your rent after you've done it with a smile on your face for the past. Use a support system. Starting to set boundaries is tough. It can bring up a lot of questions, uncomfortable feeling, and self-doubt. Having a support system is invaluable whenever you're doing something challenging.
Right, welcome back. Yes, I hope you picked one or two things you can actually put in your day-to-day life to create healthy boundaries. In fact, to be honest, boundaries is very, very important. If you don't have that, there's this word they call oversee finish or see finish. You're definitely going to have that, and that means people will trample on your respect. They will take you for granted. You might not really get the value of who you are from people because there is no boundary. They don't know when to stop and when to start. Anyways, let me introduce my guest for you today. Her name is Ayobami Omoniwa. She's been here before, but the first time she was here was just to more like show us what she does as an entrepreneur and how her story was, how she got to be where she is, and of course to share what her dreams are and her goals are. And of course she's the CEO of a group, so definitely she had to just talk more of her success story. But this time around she's coming to do what she does best and what she loves to do. She's a counselor, she's a family life practitioner, she's the founder of the Heightened Peace Herb Limited. Good morning, Ayobami.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Today we would like to put a little peek into the knowledge you have about as a family life practitioner and of course as a counselor, so you could just talk to people. So my first question to you is what is the most biggest scam of a marriage myth that we have in Nigeria, especially that people, not just people, women do not get to understand that is never how it works and it can never work like that? What is the biggest scam of a myth in marriage that we have, and you would like to correct that fact too?
Okay, so there are quite a number of them, but I would say the most profound would be that marriage will complete you. You see a fresh lady, fresh out of college, out of school or NYC, and has not even figured out what life is about, and then the next thing you hear is, oh, just get married, just get married, just get married. And then when she's like, oh, I'm not even, you say, oh no, don't worry about it, marriage will complete you. Marriage will, you'll figure it out when you get in. I think is a huge myth. It's a huge myth, because you need to figure out yourself, your path, your journey, to be able to even choose the right person for that journey. You need to figure out yourself. You need to be complete, because incomplete people, when two incomplete individuals come together in a marriage, they make a mess of it. You are hoping that, oh, you're getting along with another complete human being. What if the other person is also incomplete? That you are incomplete, meaning that you are not whole, and this does not have to do with maybe money or what you bring into the table. Is all round. That you are incomplete, mentally, you haven't even found your place in the world. You don't even know your journey yet, and you're coming together with another person. It will be a huge mess. It will be a huge mess. That's literally the biggest, of the myth that I know.
Okay, so now you said, you just mentioned one, and you've said it's the wrongest thing anybody can do. So I just want to ask, what's the negative impact of this particular myth that it has really happened in marriage and caused a lot of harm to the marriage? What is the negative impact that this myth actually causes, both for the lady and of course for the spouse, and maybe even extended to the children?
Oh, okay. So when we say a person is not whole, a person is not complete, it could span to their mental, insufficiency. We may be talking of trauma. And so when you see people hit their wives or hit their husbands, it's from the place of brokenness. So there are lots of sides to this, but incompleteness, can also span to the way you communicate, because it also still means that the things that you have learned that you need to unlearn, the things that are, broken in you, will spill into the way you deal with your wife, and not only your wife, maybe your in-laws, people around. Because until you have fixed that brokenness, it will spill all over. It spills to your family budget, your family economy. It spills to the way you show up as a human being. As human, you need to be whole and complete in yourself before you can show up as a wife, in the way that you are required to. So, and because, for every marriage, you are hoping that someday you will pick up the role of a mother. So it still means that if you are broken, you will not be able to show up like the mother that you showed. So it's essential that before you get into marriage, you need to have figured out yourself. You need to, be in tune with your authentic self as a human being, who you really are. Know yourself. We see that most marriages, people come together, at a time where they have not even come to the realization of who they are. And then they just pick a partner. And we can see the chaos all over the place, right? Because they are coming from an incomplete state of unawareness. And then you're coming to join yourself together with somebody who probably doesn't even know himself as well. You can just figure it out. That's the reason for the chaos.
Thank you very much. It could be very chaotic, like you said. So since we've talked about one of the most dangerous or difficult myths that we have in marriage, even before marriage, basically, is the one you said. So I want to ask now, what are the common, maybe like 3 or 4, so you can share for us, what are the most common myths that you've encountered during your practice, as a counselor and a family life practitioner? What are the common myths, and of course, what was the advice you had to give them to be able to, I don't know, outgrow the myth or understand that this is reality, not what you've always had in your head?
Okay. So another myth will be that love is enough. I mean, you see 2 individuals who fell in love in school, and well, you just think that that's it, and then you get married. Love usually is not enough. All right. Again, we want to really know, what does love mean to you? Do you even know what love is? Or is it the infatuation? Is it the pretty girl with all the curves in the right places? And then sometimes some people even mistake sex to be love. And so when you're enjoying the sex and it's getting to your edge, and they say, oh, this is just it, and then you get into marriage. So we say love is never enough, because while love is essential for any marriage to thrive, there's the place of respect, right? Does it talk at you or talk to you? There's the place of teachability. Does this person listen? Do they have people in their lives that they listen to? Or they are just really the lion of the tribe of their father's house, right? So we say there are other values. There's trust. Is this somebody you can trust? Because if you love this person and maybe the person is all over the place with other girls, there's no trust. It's only a matter of time. If you get into marriage with such a person, there will be a breakdown. Absolutely, there will be a breakdown. And so we're saying there should be shared values. What are your values? What are his values? So if you love this person who has no value, or maybe they do, but it doesn't even align with yours, how then do you think that you can work together? So I'm a person of faith, and then the Holy Book says, can 2 work together except they're in agreement? So it means that even if you love this person and they have different values, from you, it's only a matter of time before the mismatch and disparities begin to show up in your faces, and then cause a huge conflict or whatever is obtainable. So yes, while love is good, is essential, is important, is also as important that this person has shared values. This person respects you, and not only you. How do they talk to people around them? Because of course, because they're trying to woo you and win your heart, they would respect you, maybe sometimes. But how have you noticed that they respect other people? It's only a matter of time. They will start treating you just exact same way that they treat other people, even if they treat you well right now. How do they relate with their immediate family, with their extended family, with their colleagues, with their friends? How do they respect people? Not because these people are subordinates or they are co-workers, but because they are human beings. what value do they place on human beings? You need to really take note of that. All right. So another myth that is huge is that people think that marriage is a 50-50% partnership. Like you come with your 50 and I come with with my 50, and then we come together, it makes 100, right? But that's a huge myth. It's a huge myth. So going into marriage with the idea that you are going to give a 50 is already a recipe for failure. This is you assuming that your partner is coming with a 50%. What if, and remember we had spoken about the place of brokenness, right? So it just really means that they may not also be showing up with a 50%. So you don't make 100. And then this really affects how you want to show up for your partner or even in that marriage. Because it just really is a mental block. Where you're supposed to do more, you're thinking, oh, I've done 50%, I've done my share of it, you know, and it just becomes like a calculative thing, a game of equality, kind of, as opposed, you know, togetherness, right? So it's a huge myth to say, oh, I'm going with a 50 and it's, you know, coming with a 50, or she's coming with a 50. What happens when they cannot show up with their 50% of the bargain? What happens? It also means that you are not able to cover it up. Because, I mean, practically, you are stuck at your 50. All right. So another myth, you know, that is huge, I mean, that I hear, is that when people get into marriage and they probably experience their first fight, and they just be, oh, I think happy couples don't fight. You know, and that throws them off balance. Right? Oh, happy couples don't fight. Of course, they do. Because, yeah, conflict, you know, disagreement, they are an inherent part of being human. So as long as you relate with other human beings, conflicts are bound to happen. So, and because you're not raised in the same way, you're probably from different backgrounds, culture, maybe tribe even, right? So it means that you will have disagreements. However, the way that these disagreements are handled, you know, shows whether or not, you know, you are whole, as it were, you are fit, you know, for that. But conflicts are really normal. Fights are normal because you are not married to a robot. So you should have a way of expressing how you feel when, you know, your partner has a differing opinion about a matter. You should be able to say, oh, okay, I hear you, but this is how I feel. This is how I see it. From my perception, this is how it should be. And that in itself is disagreement. That's conflict. It's as simple as that. It's not necessarily the shouting, the throwing of punches, you know, and all of that. No, that's not it. That's not conflict. That's not fight. That's something else. You know, that's their personality handling conflict in a certain way, right? But conflict, fight, you know, in a relationship, in a marriage, are normal. And so when we're able to handle it constructively, we grow from there. So yeah, we are now, after I have overcome this, you now know that, oh, this is what she likes. Oh, this is what he likes. Oh, he will be okay with it. Oh, he won't be comfortable with it. So that's what conflict does. They help us to grow if we are able to handle it constructively. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
thank you very much for that one. Thank you for so many marriage myths you had to bring out. You know, I want to say I have a problem with the last one where you said 50%, but I'm just gonna ask the question, throw a question. Now you said something. You said when a woman believes, okay, I'm bringing in 50%, so I expect him to also bring in the 50%, so that matches to 100. And are you not saying in essence that when a woman is planning to get married to a particular person that she loves, she should get ready to have more than 50% to offer? More like to be on the safe side. If he has 50 and you're bringing maybe 70 or 60 or 80, at least to cover up a little bit. And even if he has just 50, you have 70, 80, then you have above 100, which makes it more better. Is that what you're saying? So is it that we have the bulk of the job, or you're just trying to say to be on the safe side, you know, do this?
Okay, to clarify this, I'm saying, as a human being, we had spoken about, being whole. And being whole is not 50. 50 is half, right? So being whole is 100. So you have to show up in marriage with 100%. 100% of the humanity that you are. So this is not saying, oh, we have to, oh, I'm saying money. I'm saying, no, I'm saying everything. You see a man who says, I cannot clean the house. I cannot do certain chores. I cannot do this. I can, and that's where the division starts. That's where we start saying, oh, this is my 50% and that's my 50%. But when you are showing up, of course, before you picked a wife or even a husband, you were doing all of these things for yourself. So what happened? What changes? Because we have it somewhere, in our subconscious that, when we come into marriage, then we just really leave out some things. And in the same way, how we expect that the man should be the breadwinner, even when he doesn't have the means and you have the means, we see that that's, wreaking a lot of havoc in marriages and in homes. And so even if he has to sweat blood and not sweat, he has to figure it out, even when you can conveniently handle it. Why? Because I've done my 50%. And yeah, I can't be bothered. So we're saying, show up with your 100. It helps you to, cover up the lapses, maybe of your spouse. And this is, for both sides, both male and female. Show up with. So if a man is coming into marriage and is showing up with 100, when the wife is hospitalized, the kids won't be stranded as to who will take care of them and take them to school and all of that. Because the man is showing up. Not with a 50, this time with 100. And likewise the woman. You're not saying, oh, because the rent, is due and because it's the one who should. I'm supposed to just handle this and I've done my 50%. You have to show up with 100. This is a marriage relationship, not a dating relationship. So when you say my marriage is mine, my home is mine, you are showing up with 100%. We see that, a lot of all this tension, it just really is out. Without friends or naysayers coming to, put in their own idea and say this. No, they don't even know how you run your family because you are showing up with 100. You are able to support your spouse when they cannot meet up with their own 100. That's what we're saying.
Thank you much for that clarification. Just to still, deep in a little bit, to be on the safe side, so some women will understand, because I'm certain these questions are I'm probably saying some women's mind. If they could probably reach us right now, I'm sure via comment section and all of that, they want to ask the same question. Now, fine, I'm bringing 100% to the marriage. I met you, I'm 100, I'm whole, and to be honest, to be factual, it's even difficult for you to have 100, even as a person. You can just, be yourself, but to be 100 is almost as good as almost impossible, because we're humans. We're insearchable. We are, how do I put it? Sometimes we can be selfish, self-centered, once in a while. So all those little loopholes just reduces the 100. Okay, I'm taking, for example, I'm bringing in 95 of myself, like my full self. I do not really need, if I can't look at your fault and fault you. Rather, instead of faulting you, I'll use my percentage to cover up in, the place where you're lagging behind. Okay, but how about I'm bringing 95 and the person I am, dating, supposedly I felt he was whole, and people pretend a lot, and yes, you see the red flags and all of that, but you felt, okay, I have 100, which is 95, close to 100, I can still cover up a little bit. The red flag is not so bad, I can still manage because I can handle some certain things myself. And you get into the marriage and you find out that maybe the 50 was even bringing, or whatever percentage it was bringing, you found it to have gone so low as 20% or 10% or 30%, and you're still in your 95. Now for me, I would have thought it's toxic, because if you're not careful, they will take from your percentage and maybe throw it out the window, I don't know, or add it to themselves, I do not know. But you find out that you're doing so much trying to cover up for what is actually going wrong, or while you're trying to cover up, you're definitely losing your own percentage gradually, because you're getting tired, you're getting worn out. In fact, you don't know what to do. You're just existing, probably not living. Do you understand? You're not living the best of your life. You're just existing as a wife to this man and as a mother to the children. At that point, as a counselor, what would you advise a woman to do? You know, we are very emotional, so once we love, we'll put every of our being into whatever we are doing. So at this point, what would you advise a woman in such situation to do?
Okay, so I would handle this, in two ways. Now, we're assuming that you have chosen the right partner. Another huge myth is that, marriage is like thrift clothing. And so when you open the bill is when you see what's in it, right? And that's also a huge myth, right? So you can prepare yourself so that you already know what you're picking. Yes, we know that they will show you the side of them that they want you to pick, right? But there are tools, there are things in place that shows, the art and the intent of any man, especially if you take your time. So that's a huge myth. It's not a black market. It's not that I get into marriage and then I find out that it's something that is not. The tools are available, right, to unbox that. Right. But so let's even assume that you're already in it and you're coming with your 100%. And this partner is showing up with a 10 or a 20 or 30 or just below what you had thought that they would be able to, right? So it means that there's like fundamental issues. So things are wrong beyond, we're married and we're a couple. There are things wrong with that individual as a human being. So in the place of their humanity, something is affecting them that is not, enabling them to show up the way they should. It could be from their upbringing. It could be from, trauma. It could be from their environment. It's as little as, sitting over a drink in the bar or, and with other guys who would make sly comments, on how you should treat a woman. And it get to them. And then they, change. It just still boils down to saying that something is fundamentally wrong. So if you are in that space, please seek professional help, especially if such a man is willing. Now, if they are not willing, still seek professional help, right? Because, you are not expected to be showing up 100% and the other person is showing up a 10%, a 20%, or not showing up at all. That's totally not it. So if they are not showing up at all or in 20% less than they should, something is fundamentally wrong with that human being from the place of their humanity. And that spills into how they show up, as a husband or as a spouse or even as a father, because yes, it goes round.
Thank you very much. You've clarified that. Now I can settle down. We can take a breather now. So we'll still have you. You're still with us, definitely, but we want to go for a breather, a short break, where we'll have another tip to run through. So then we can come back. Let's just relax, take water before we come back to continue the program. So this time around, we're going for tips on personal development, because we're talking about marriage myth, and of course you could hear most of what she's saying. 100%, you need your personal development. You need to go whole. You need to develop yourself. Just like I said. The initial tip was creating healthy boundaries, and which would help you build yourself, maintain your respect and your value as a person. Then this one is just to build yourself, a personal development, which is very important, because it's not about the way you dress is the way you're dressed. No, not just about that. Is what people see in you, that they will be able to understand how much you can give. In fact, it is what you have that you can give. If you have enough for yourself, how will you be able to give out? And we're talking in terms of finance and all of that. No, I'm talking about love. I'm talking about respect. I'm talking about kindness, empathy, good communication, good health. How are you able to, share with people or help people when they lack these things, when you don't even have enough for yourself? You do not probably even have. So let's go quickly say tips on personal development, and after that we'll come back to the program to continue with Ayobami Omoniwa. Stay with us. Let's go for this breaker. We'll be right back.
tips on personal development. Keep learning. The ability and desire to learn are powerful skills that can have positive impact on many areas of your life, including professionally. Learning can take place in a traditional sense through reading or studying, or in a more interpersonal sense through listening. Either way, it's a crucial aspect of personal development. Education has always had economic ramification. For many, learning can feel like a luxury. However, there are more resources than ever for individuals looking to expand their knowledge. Whether you take advantage of free programs online or resources like the library, there are plenty of opportunities to learn. Another important aspect of learning is listening. Listening is a powerful learning tool that will help you develop your interpersonal skills and relationship. It is through listening to the experiences and opinions of others that you can expand your perception of the world and your placement in it. Volunteer your time. Volunteer opportunities are a wonderful way to do some good, learn some new skills and gain valuable perspective. While volunteering, their skills are the volunteer coordinator would love to teach you, but that you might otherwise never learn. Helping others can also aid in your personal development by growing your ability to empathize as well as expanding your worldview. Experience new things and places. As with volunteering and learning, traveling is a vital part of gaining perspective. It can be easy to forget that there are people and places that are radically different from what you're used to. Though international travel offers the most stimulation, you don't have to go to a different country to see something new. Oftentimes, even a different city or state can be a catalyst that inspires your creativity and happiness. Get creative. Creativity promotes self-awareness, which is an important aspect of personal growth and development. It's unnecessary to be a particularly skilled creative in order to experience the benefits of creativity. Whether you decide to dance, draw, write, photograph, play music, act, or choose any other creative pursuit, you will find that the art of creating is cathartic, and ultimately, it's way more important than the hand. Make your health a priority. Personal growth requires commitment and self-discipline. It means prioritizing what is good for you rather than what's easy. Treating your body with care and respect is an important part of your individual development. Personal growth is an active endeavor and it requires strength and endurance, which is why getting in shape is so beneficial for personal development. Making your health a priority looks like eating a balanced, healthy diet and exercising. It's getting enough sleep and taking your vitamins. A healthy lifestyle will lead to many benefits, one of which begins that your self-perspective will absolutely change for the better. Evaluate your life. Self-awareness is a key aspect of personal growth, so it's important that you take some time to do a full evaluation of your life. Here are some important questions to ask yourself that will help guide you through effectively evaluating your life. What would you like your life to be like? How do you accomplish these changes? What do you need to do so? What is your timeline?
Back is to Women's Corner. If you have missed it, this is Women's Corner and we're talking about a marriage myth. What are those myths that you must have heard growing up as a girl child or even as a man, and you think marriage is just going to be a bed of roses? Remember, if you have bed of roses, it has thorns too. Roses come with its thorn. Anyway, so we're going to continue with Ayobami Omoni while we still have her here. She is a counselor of family life practitioner and she's the founder of the Heightened Peace Herb Limited. So she has given us a whole lot of marriage myths, and even yes, I even had to ask question because there was just one myth that sound a bit off, but it's one of those things, having discussions with professionals, and of course they will give you the right direction. So I want to continue in your line of work. What is the most dangerous misconception basically that you think you've come across that is not even so it's not so rampant, it's not something that you meet every now and then, but it's the simplest of it, but is the most dangerous, and you don't really come across it so often? What is that myth? We need to know. If there is not like that, I'll be so excited, but if there is, please share with us.
Okay, I would say how people think that children can bring them closer. Maybe they have issues and then they just think, oh, having a child or even their children can bring them closer. Yeah, it's not as common, but it happens, and then you just really think. So while they come with their joy, and excitement, and everybody's happy. Of course, they bring happiness. They cannot bring you closer. So if you don't already have a system in place to ensure your closeness, if you don't already have an habit of prioritizing each other, your relationship above every other relationship, children will further drift you apart. That's the truth, because they come with their own stress and responsibility. So as much as, the joy will be there, the happiness, at the time, you will soon realize that the stress, and the responsibility that comes with these children will further drift you apart as against bringing you closer. So yes, it's a myth that children or having a baby, can bring you closer. They can add to the joy, they can, bring happiness, while people come together to celebrate with you. There can be that rush of, some emotions that can give you joy and happiness, but they cannot in themselves bring you closer as a couple if you don't already have a system. As a matter of fact, they can further drift you apart if you don't already have a system in place to ensure that you're close. Right.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let's talk about before we talk about newlyweds, let's talk about couples who have communication issues, and this is affected by most of the myths that surrounding their marriage. Let me give an example so that you would understand. Most women, especially now, they are angry. Yes, I understand that men need to be sensitive, but come on, they have other things they think about. Yes, even though I'm saying come on, in my head I'm like, sometimes we always play that role as a woman. I don't know, it's just in every woman, almost every woman, let me use that word. It's a fact whereby communication, okay, I feel offended by my husband, and I feel like he should know what he did wrong. Why should I be telling him what he did wrong? Maybe he knows I do not like, let's assume I do not like when I get home and I see, maybe his belongings lying everywhere in the house, because he probably comes earlier than me, and he's lying in the house and he knows I do not like it. So usually I will probably talk about it, or maybe tell him, okay, pick this, don't do this anymore, tell him to be more cautious, you understand, in a very nice, polite, respectful manner. And one day I've had it to the last straw. I come in, I see those clothes, and I pick them up. Naturally, I didn't say nothing, I didn't complain, I probably went to bed angry. I woke up the next morning and he is like innocent him. He's like, hey, good morning baby, or whatever names they call themselves, good morning baby, hi, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, good morning. I'm giving a cold shoulder, a cold face. He doesn't even know what he did. He's probably used to that bad habit, you understand? And now the myth is, a man should understand a woman. A man should understand that we're very emotional and all of those things. Now, I know this communication at this point, if that thing is not sorted, it can cause a very big ripple in the marriage. I know of that one, because I know how women can be very emotional and take things extra. Now, at this point, how do you think women should be able to communicate their feelings, despite the fact feeling that I've said it different ways, different manner, but still he's not listening, he's not changing, I'm tired, and they believe that he's my husband, he knows this over the years, he knows this is what I like, this is what I don't like, so why is he still doing it? Now there's a communication problem there already. So how do you think a woman should be able to fit in and get over this myth of he's sensitive, he knows me, let him deal with it, let him get better? How do you think a woman should go about that?
Okay, Rose. Okay, let me say this quickly, that you are even saying a woman, and so the man should be able to read the signs. In some cases, it's the man expecting the woman to be able to read. I mean, you're cooking, I'm not eating. You should know that it means I'm upset about something. And then, the woman will say, okay, maybe he's not even hungry, right? So, I mean, it's totally really out of place to assume that because I'm acting a certain way, because I'm not eating, because I'm, squeezing my face, because I'm, you should just pick it that I'm upset. So, I mean, that's immature, totally immature to say that. So if you're upset about a thing, the normal thing to do is still to communicate that, oh, this and this. I don't. So again, there's the place of communicating in a way that you will hear. Maybe at other times you have always been, why is it that you throw your things all over the place? I'm not okay with it. I'm not. So we say, instead of attacking the person or the personality of that person, would say it's better to communicate how you feel, how what they do makes you feel, how what they do makes you feel. So you say, when I walk into the house and I see that the house is littered, I feel awful. I feel this way. I feel that way. Now, this person is your spouse. And so, being vulnerable enough to share how you feel, as against saying, oh, you're always doing this, you're always that, you are this, you are that. That way, they're not receiving the message like you are trying to say, oh, this. They are receiving it like you're trying to attack their personality, as against, oh, this is how she feels. Ha, I don't think this makes you feel awful, but if this makes you feel this bad, then I'd rather stop. Then, so it's better to communicate, and that's an art of communication. So as against just shouting and hammering, you are always doing this, you are always like this, you are this and you are that. Would you please say exactly how you feel when they do, and they act in a certain way? So you're saying, when you ignore me, I feel belittled. I feel less of myself. When I'm talking to you and you're not paying attention, this is how I feel. So that way you're communicating how you feel, as against attacking the person. And if you try that, you will see how, it just really turns things around. And they begin to listen. Because that way you're communicating. Really.
Okay. So it's usually very, how do I put it? It's more easier to communicate than argue, shout, which is actually almost inevitable to say you will not argue or whatever. But I think the shouting part, you can actually always avoid it if you try and listen to the partner. Like another counselor who has been on the show would always say, try not to attack the person who has offended you, but attack the issue on ground. I think that will be able to reduce all the shouting and raising of voice and both of them talking on each other. Okay, our time is almost up. Just one more question, and I think I'll just say she just mentioned one. Now, for newlyweds, I know a lot of people believe that there are some newlyweds that never have issues. Like once they are married, it's all about the love in the air. They are still on vacation? Okay, on honeymoon. They're still on honeymoon, enjoying themselves and all of that. But to be realistic, some newlywed will tell you the first year of our marriage was hell. So we'll tell you the first 3 years of our marriage was hell. In fact, it was at the third year we started understanding each other. So what is that common myth for newlyweds that they face in their marriage, in their newly wedded environment? And it's something, this is what they can actually go about it. Please, can you answer that question in like 1 minute? 1 minute, rather.
Oh, okay. So it will be that, a good marriage is effortless. Like if you're meant for each other, you will just really have it running smoothly. And that's a myth, right? So whatever you're doing to sustain your relationship, right now, that got you to the place of, oh, I want to be with this person, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, you have to keep at it. As a matter of fact, you have to do more. So it's not a place to now say you throw in the towel, oh, I'm married and that's about it. Oh, I've gotten the badge or the certificate, like I've gone for BSc or whatever, masters, and I have it in the bag, and so I can now move on. No, it's the place to now put in more work. It's not effortless to have a happy marriage. So you start from the place of whatever you were doing before that you enjoyed doing, that made the woman say, oh, I want to follow him and spend the rest of my life. You have to keep at it. You have to keep doing that. If you were taken out, every other weekend or you have to keep at it. If you were paying for a spa session, if you were always checking up on him at work, you have to keep at it. You have to also maintain what we call open day. So that's like a feedback process, right? So it could be however it's comfortable for you. It could be weekends, it could be a Saturday, it could be whatever day where you now see it and say, oh, how was the relationship this week? How did we do? So in this open day, you're not allowed to get upset about what your spouse is going to be saying or whatever feedback you're getting, right? So this is where active listening comes to play. You are just ready to listen, and then maybe just really, and what this does is that it just really helps you to nip the conflict, nip it in the bud. You are in touch. You are constantly communicating what you are doing wrong, because you are just getting together. You are just going to be living together, or maybe expectedly you are just going to be living together. So yes, there's going to be clashes and all of that, but this open day helps you to arrest it. Oh, what happened in the course of the week is like feedback, and then you take it in and work on it and be better, and not listening to defend whatever your spouse is saying. No, you are not listening to defend or to be fast to say, no, I didn't mean it that way. No, you are listening to take it in and to work on it. You are taking it in as a feedback. So that's what I would advise.
Thank you so much, Ayobami Omoniwa, for joining us. An amazing section. I really enjoyed myself, and of course, yes, I learned one or two, of course, from the myth, and which, like you say, you can't know everything. No man is an island of knowledge, so you have to keep asking questions, and when you ask, you get the right answer. Even if you get a wrong answer, eventually one day, because you keep asking, you get the right answer. I want to appreciate you from Galaxy TV for joining us on the program. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the program today.
I did. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, and that's it from Ayobami Omoniwa. She's a counselor and a family life practitioner, the founder of the Heightened Peace Herb Limited. Our time is fast spent, so we can't take any more tips for today. We're supposed to take a help tip, but hopefully we'll take it some other time. And it's very important. I really wanted to do this because over the weekend I was thinking about it. What can I give them for the week? But it comes daily sometimes, and sometimes it comes even days before I start playing the tips for you. Okay, that's it from me on Women's Corner for today. That's it on marriage myth. You can still go to Google, you can meet counselors, therapists, to help you out of some myth that you've heard of that we're not able to talk about today, and let them help you out of it and get you to understand the real reality behind all of these things. Anyways, my name is Rose Blossom. Up next is News on the Hour, and right after that we'll be having The Buzz. We'll talk about the state and affairs of the nation. So you're going to see me pretty soon. Just stay with us. Until then, do have a beautiful day. Bye for now.